As an edgy preteen in 1999 with few actual full PC games, there was a period of time where I would get off of the bus after school and rush to the basement to play the demo for Quake 2 over and over. It only had a few maps, had no music, and ran like trash on our crummy family PC. I loved the way the game felt to play though. I loved the dreary, industrial atmosphere. I loved the sweet ambient sounds of metal grinding and distant rhythmic thumping. Heck, to this day, I still prefer playing the game with the music turned down. This is the Quake 2 soundtrack, if you ask me. A few months ago during QuakeCon, Night Dive Studios simultaneously announced and released their excellent remaster of Quake 2. I immediately bought the game and played through the main campaign in its entirety, finally, after so much time spent replaying those same few demo levels as a kid. I played through the new Call of the Machine expansion too, which is quite good in its own right, but which, without spoiling too much, also contains some connections to Quake 1. I've been aware to some degree of Quake 2's reputation amongst FPS enjoyers as being lesser than its predecessor. But at the time I was playing that demo, Quake 1 just looked so old-fashioned and weird to me, despite being just a year older than Quake 2. Why does your character hold their gun in the middle of the screen? That's dumb. Why do you fight medieval knights and zombies? Isn't Quake a space game? After finishing up with Quake 2, I figured, okay, maybe it's time to try the first one. Well, it turns out everyone was right. Quake 2 is pretty cool, but Quake 1 owns. I blasted through the original Quake 1 campaign, delighting in the simple map-based structure of its 4 episodes, its beautiful medieval gothic aesthetic, and its amazing Trent Reznor-composed soundtrack, one that I would never turn down, let alone off. Immediately after that, I soared through the Dimension of the Machine expansion, but I still craved more. I downloaded and devoured the incredible fan-made expansion pack Arcane Dimensions, featuring gameplay changes and maps of a quality that, frankly, make it hard to go back to the base game. Next, I played Underdark, Overbright, and Copper. I played Honey. I played Dwell. I even started learning to make my own maps, something that here in 2023 is shockingly easy to get into even for a big dummy like myself. One of the great things about the original Quake is that if you get into it now, you have a well full of over 20 years of fan-made maps and mods to dip into. The Quake community is just as bustling as ever, and if you're interested in expanding your Quake horizons a bit, jams are a great way to start. If you're unfamiliar with the term, a jam is where mappers come together for a set period of time and create maps centered around a chosen theme. A recent example of this was last September's Quake Brutalist Jam, where 34 creators of varying skill levels worked over a span of 2.5 weeks to make maps featuring Brutalist architecture. From a player's perspective, jams are a super fun way to experience a huge variety of aesthetics and level design ethos, as often each individual author has drastically different interpretations of a given theme. In order to share my newfound love of this game, I decided to combine it with my lifelong love of everyone's favorite holiday, Halloween. For this video, I played all 4 Quake Halloween jams, as well as the Halloween-themed map pack Disconcerting Unease 2, for a total of 45 maps. I've rated each of these maps based not on quality, these maps are almost all worth playing, but on how Halloween-y they are, using a scale of 1 to 5 pumpkins. 1 pumpkin being no more Halloween-y than your standard Quake map, and 5 pumpkins being the absolute pumpkin spice cream of the pumpkin patch crop. For the sake of time, we'll not be discussing every single map I played, I just want to walk you through some of the ones that I found the most interesting. My methodology here was not scientific by any means, but I'll explain what factors I used to determine a given map's Halloweeniness. Firstly, location. Does the map take place somewhere that's typically associated with Halloween? For example, a graveyard, a haunted house, a cornfield, a pumpkin patch, etc. Next, decor. Does the map feature decorative objects you'd find around Halloween? Pumpkins, skeletons, skulls, crooked trees, spiders, bats, cobwebs, stuff like that. References. Does the map explicitly mention Halloween? Does it contain tricks and/or treats? I'll include horror movie nods here as well. Lastly, ambiance. Sounds of howling, spooky music, thick fog, the fall season, usage of orange, purple, and green lighting, a Halloween vibe. Alright, and with that all out of the way, let's play some Quake. Let's start with a more recent one. This is Cathedral of Calamity from the 2021 Halloween Jam. We begin in a foggy graveyard, amongst dead, crooked trees, overlooked by a sinister cathedral. We make our way inside, interrupting some sort of demonic ritual. Sorry guys. After acquiring our first key, we descend deep below the church and fight our way through, I don't know, the satanic church equivalent of storage rooms and offices, I guess. The walls within are adorned with members of the dark clergy, as well as paintings such as this one here that I am going to choose to believe is a reference to this scene from Hellraiser 2. We return to the surface, face off against the congregation's leader, and make our way to the exit where we're wished a happy Halloween. How nice! This one ticked a few boxes, so I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 5 pumpkins, with 1 upside down cross to show our respect for the churchgoers we interrupted earlier. Next, let's check out Pumpkin Grind from the first Halloween Jam, all the way back in 2018. This one's got pumpkin in the name, so that's gotta be a good sign, right? The first thing that strikes you about this map is definitely the beautiful, bright orange fall sunset. Really makes you want to post up in the barn here, sit on a pile of hay, and watch some scary movies. But first, we really ought to tend to our crops. Not just any crops though, no. This is our first pumpkin patch of the night. Unfortunately, it does look like the barn has something of a pest infestation, so let's just take our movie night inside, shall we? Uh-oh, looks like this house is haunted, folks. And as happy as I am to see that our ghoulish occupants have decorated the place for the holiday, I think it's about time we cut our losses and end our movie night here. Maybe we didn't get that barn viewing of spooky buddies we had planned, but I'd say we had a pretty Halloween-filled night. I'll give this one a solid 4 pumpkins and 1 Halloween sweater covered in hay. When you're a kid, nothing spells out the end of summer and the shift into fall like going back to school. So let's get educated in the School of Dark Magic from Halloween Jam 2. This one starts out strong with some pumpkins, crooked trees, and bats right off the bat. As we progress through the school grounds and into the main building, I'm hit with a strange sense of nostalgia. I'm fairly sure the layout of this area is based on Scholomance from World of Warcraft. You can see here this hallway, and the library outside of it, as well as this little nook under the stairwell. There's some very clear similarities. Interesting to be sure, but this reference is not Halloween related, so it does not count. So the school day starts and we have our first lesson with some sorcerers who teach us a few spells. And hey, what's this? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna be generous and call this a witch's cauldron. The rest of our day is pretty normal. We work on our athletics and balance a bit in PE, visit our delinquent friends in detention, and we even learn a bit about chemistry in the science lab. Not a bad first day at school, all things considered. This is a great map, but unfortunately outside of the occasional pumpkin, this is not much more Halloween-y than a typical Quake map. I'll give it 2 pumpkins and an A for effort to hang on the fridge. No one wants to get into a car accident, least of all in the middle of nowhere. But if you wake up in Halloween Jam 2's Husks of the Past, you may have died and gone to Halloween heaven. This map is a shotgun blast straight through your pumpkin guts. A cornfield to your left, crooked trees and a pumpkin patch to your right, a bloody chainsaw and a lone house, giving off some suspiciously Texas-y, massacre-y vibes. All of this utterly drenched in orange, like the setting sun itself was made of pumpkin. Head just a bit down the road, and who's there to greet you but this little fella? This is it. This is why we're here. This is understanding the assignment. Look how his hat and coat blow in the wind. Seeing this seriously blew me away. Feeling beckoned into the cornfield by our little buddy here, we make our way through, dealing with some pests, and picking up some armor, which makes this sound, until we come to a small church. After attending services, we head back to the house. Maybe someone inside can help us with our car troubles. The door is locked, so we make our way around back to the shed. We help the owners out with their spider infestation and grab the front door key. As we step inside, a door slides open and we're attacked by a large man with a knife. This is no ordinary house. It's a murder house, which, if you ask me, is just like a pre-haunted house. Our suspicions are confirmed upon discovery of a body upstairs and human remains in the basement. The situation grows even darker though, when we discover a basement beneath the basement, its entrance enveloped by an eerie purple glow. The dead come to life within these halls, but after fighting our way through, we emerge once more into the accursed farm, now crawling with the undead. We search the barn, a key to the garage, but we're attacked by, well, he's not exactly on theme. We make our way to the garage, a car, now to just get this fueled up and, uh-oh, they don't want us to leave. We fight our way through the horde and escape with our lives. Damn, not only a fun, well-designed Quake map in general, but also just a perfect little short experience to have on a Halloween-adjacent night. 5 pumpkins and a little jack-o'-lantern scarecrow, my new favorite little guy. Disconcerting Unease 2 is a 4-map pack with a Halloween theme as well. These maps are simply named after their authors, and so that's how I'll be referring to them here. OG begins with us seeking shelter from a barren, snow-drenched environment. We make our way through the facility, quiet and seemingly empty, were it not for the corpses of Rottweilers. The silence is fleeting though, as soldiers, none too pleased with our intrusion, attack us on sight. More bodies, human this time, but a key as well. We make our way through a hole in the wall, grab the key, and one of the presumed deceased Marines on the floor rises to attack us. In an extremely clever mechanical twist, shooting the Marine reveals its true form, as a monstrous creature explodes from inside the man's body. If it wasn't already apparent before this moment, we're almost certainly aware now that this map is pulling off a great impression of John Carpenter's The Thing. We continue through the building, never quite sure of which standard Quake grunt houses a much more menacing fiend within them. Upon making our way back to the front lobby, we spot a seemingly non-hostile grunt peering at us through glass from a control room. We use our silver key to enter, but it appears the soldier has disappeared. Opening the front gate to escape also triggers a fun little jump scare. The man watching us was one of them. We fight our way past a few more enemies and escape. This is a short map, only about 5 or 6 minutes long, but I really loved what they did with it. Using such a simple but clever gimmick, they were able to tell a little story wordlessly and make an engaging homage to a horror classic. 2 pumpkins and let's throw in a little flamethrower for warmth. Not very Halloween-y, but an easily recommendable map. A Dead Man's Favor from the 3rd Halloween Jam has a story to tell as well. In another clever mechanical twist, we begin this map as a ghost. We're greeted by a hooded figure, and as we walk with them, it's explained that if we want to live again, we have to take advantage of our incorporeal form. We can't interact with objects or move through doors, but moving like mist through gates is no problem. The figure directs us to a cauldron that can bring us back to life, but in exchange for this information, requests that we meet them at a nearby clock tower with 5 tomes of power in hand. A Dead Man's Favor cemetery hub area immediately gives off a great Halloween-y atmosphere, one that strangely reminded me a lot of Halloween Town from the first Kingdom Hearts game. With its muted greens and grays, its somewhat cartoonishly crooked fencing, and the haphazard gravestone placement. Not the most common Halloween aesthetic, but certainly a valid and visually pleasant one. They didn't skimp on the pumpkins or jack-o'-lanterns either. These are some piles. We drift through the gates to the crypt, floating harmlessly past all manner of gobbies and ghoulies. There it is, the cauldron. We begin to feel alive, and as we're spotted by enemy skulls, we take hold of the nearby super shotgun. Up until this point, we've had a nice and subtly spooky background track playing, befitting our ghostly status, but the whole vibe changes here. The room fills with more enemies, and our speakers fill with a gothy metal track that sets the tone for the fast-paced action that follows. We fight through the demonic hordes inside the crypt, collecting tomes along the way, and a key back to the cemetery. Approaching the final tome only makes things worse though, as the seemingly decorative gargoyles come to life and bring an army of the undead with them. After a long battle, we return to the clock tower with the books. The figure from before thanks us for a job well done and lets us leave for good. A wonderfully creative map and one that's undeniably Halloween. I give it 4 pumpkins and a super shotgun with a dangling pumpkin head keychain from Kingdom Hearts. To finish things off, I'd like to delve deep into the depths of true horror. That's right, we're working as a barista during pumpkin spice latte season in Grawert's map from Disconcerting Unease 2. Upon clocking in for our shift, we greet our manager and proceed to take the first customer's order. They call us a nerd, but we actually like that, so we get to work on our first PSL of the day. I love how the coffee shop is rendered here in the Quake engine. The seating areas, as low poly and pixel crunchy as they are, look like a warm and inviting way to spend a dreary evening in the big city, visible through the tall windows enclosed by brick walls. I love the little pastry case full of muffins and the goofy Quadbucks logo. I just want to be here. We hand off the beverage and take a few more customers. A kindly cowboy, a supportive leather daddy, Shea Coulee, who tips us $50. Wow. But, uh-oh, who's this? I've got a bad feeling. The unpleasant woman wants a pumpkin spice latte as well, but this time the espresso machine explodes. Our manager suggests offering something else instead, but she's clearly not having it. I'd like to point out here that as someone who worked in a coffee shop for over 10 years, this is disturbingly accurate so far. Looks like we're going to have to head down into the basement and retrieve some more pumpkin spice from storage. As we descend, the concrete walls and tile floors give way to brick walls, a foggy dirt floor, and an eerie green glow. As we turn the corner, all is revealed. This pumpkin spice is coming straight from the source. An enormous jack-o'-lantern smiling at us devilishly, daring us to take our prize from his brightly glowing interior. We traverse the perimeter by way of wooden bridges, contending with enemies hiding in halfway hollowed giant pumpkins. We reach the top of the jack-o'-lantern's castle, where we acquire the silver key and a great view of the castle grounds, with its large crooked trees and overgrown orange gourds. With silver key in hand, we head to the locked double doors, and after taking care of a few shamblers, proceed through them and into Jack's, back entrance. A short maze awaits us, wooden structure built around fleshy orange guts. There it is! There's the pumpkin spice! The fiends try to stop us, but they're no match for an underpaid worker trying to make it through the day without an emotional breakdown. A mass of the undead await us outside, but they too are dealt with. Back upstairs, our customer is unsurprisingly unenthused with her wait. We resupply the machine and finally finish up the drink. Unfortunately, it's not made to her liking, and after hurling a few insults, Karen reveals her true form and begins demolishing the establishment. In a cathartic final sequence, we dispatch her and her children and walk off the job. This map is delightful and is actually what inspired me to seek out more Halloween creations for Quake. I'm going to give it 5 pumpkins, and I'm going to award it with the Quadbucks Coffee Master apron for so vividly capturing the barista experience. Well, that's about all the time we have today for Quake Halloween. Like I mentioned earlier, there's plenty of great maps to play in these packs, and I definitely recommend playing them yourself if this video piqued your interest at all. I've left links in the description to all of the packs I discussed, as well as the new Quake Brutalist Jam 2, which was released while I was making this. It absolutely rules, and you should really check it out. I'm not kidding about being obsessed with this game right now either, so if you are a Quake head and you have any recommendations for mods or maps, please do let me know in the comments. Like and subscribe, etc., you know. Thanks for watching, and happy Halloween!